This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Podcast Network presents This is Protecting America. Now, here's Emmy-winning journalist Rita Cosby.
And welcome to another edition of Protecting America. I'm Rita Cosby. Well, more very disruptive anti-Israeli protests are taking place across our country and across the globe, including a group that interrupted an Easter Vigil Mass at St. Patrick's Cathedral. This comes as Israel reportedly conducted a very strong airstrike, taking out several key Iranian generals in Damascus, Syria. What a contrast to how the Biden administration is handling Iran, as they are not even enforcing sanctions against Iran, not even now. And joining us to discuss this and so much more is Rabbi Jeffrey Katz. He is a religious philosopher. He is a New York City attorney, and he's also the author of a powerful new book called Rules to Live By, Maimonides' Guide to a Wonderful Life. Rabbi Katz, great to have you here.
Rita, it's great to be here with you.
What's your reaction, first off, to Israel's very strong airstrikes that were done in Syria against very high-level members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard?
Yeah, well, Iran is trying to create multiple fronts against Israel to destroy Israel. So one of those fronts is from the south, Hamas in Gaza. Another one of those fronts is from the north, Hezbollah in Lebanon. There are many other fronts also they're trying to create, the Houthis from Yemen. Iran is in the process of trying to create another front against Israel in their war of annihilation, God forbid, against Israel. They're trying to develop Syria as an additional front. And Iran is they're sending their top generals of the Revolutionary Guard, and they're sending advanced equipment and munitions and missiles, sophisticated missiles that can hit, skyscrapers in Tel Aviv from their sites in Syria and in Lebanon. So Israel is trying to disrupt that establishment of an additional front against it that Iran is trying to create. So that's part of the counterstrike. And obviously, when you have intelligence on the ground telling you when the top terrorists are located there, that's an opportunity for a strike, and that's what they did.
What kind of a message does it send to what many view as the head of the snake, Iran?
The message basically is, the message is still a very a message being whispered. As long as you're allowing Iran, Iran always boasts that we never send soldiers on the ground, our own citizens, in other words. We have all these proxies doing our wars for us, all the, Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis and all the others who Iran is funding and paying. So it's a little bit of a message, but, as long as Israel is confining activities just to Lebanon, just to Syria, just to Gaza, they're still not really directly impacting the mastermind, the puppet master of everything here, which is Iran. And really the only way to do that effectively is to starve Iran of money, because then they can't fund all of these terror groups. They should try maybe doing some things for their own citizens once in a while, instead of, putting all of their, oil money and all of this into the backing of all these Shiite and Shia-related terrorist groups, like Hamas was doing in Gaza. Rita, Europe and the United States and many of our international agencies, we've given Hamas and Gaza billions and billions on billions of dollars over the past decade. Most of it just went into terror tunnels. You'd think they'd build skyscrapers or do something, but their culture is a terror culture. And, their stadiums are named after terrorists. They won't name an elementary school except after a terrorist who's killed Jews. Like, your badge of honor in that society is how many Jews you've murdered, how many Israelis you've killed. So that's the kind of terror culture we're dealing with. It can be eradicated because we see the moderate Sunni Arab states have gone way beyond that, and their characters have matured and have developed even into partnerships with Israel. But the Palestinians have lagged, and they really need to catch up. And until their culture becomes the Palestinian culture, graduates from a culture of terror to a culture of goodwill, Israel, there's nothing Israel can do. It's not like, some people say, Rita, Israel and the PLO, they just have to sit down and talk it out. There's nothing to talk out. The Palestinians have rejected every peace deal that Israel's ever brought to them. It's not like the Palestinians have ever even countered. It's not like Israel says, we'll give you 95% of the West Bank, and then the Palestinians say, oh, no, we want 98.6% of it. They just say no, because it would appear from their actions that their only goal is to destroy Israel, that having a state of their own is not even really something they even care about. I mean, look at Israel withdrew from Gaza. I mean, Ariel Sharon, one of the most right-wing prime ministers Israel ever had, withdrew, more than a decade ago from Gaza. It's a long time ago. Hamas had its own little country there. They could have developed a Switzerland. They could have developed a Benelux. They could have done anything they wanted to. Instead, they put virtually every penny they got into terror tunnels to kill Israelis. So the whole culture, it's the educational system that really has to change. And in part, that was Israel's fault also, because Israel never insisted on the Palestinians reforming their educational institutions. Even after the Oslo Accords, the Palestinians continued sending their kids to terror camps and summer programs that taught them how to, put bombs on their stomachs, and textbooks in their first and second grades that still taught their kids to kill Jews. Israel never insisted that the PLO change those textbooks, and now we're bearing the fruit of that, because even if you change the textbooks now, it's going to probably take 20 years till a generation of Palestinians who are educated for peace can emerge. So it's it's a hard situation, a very difficult, environment. And Israel has to live in this environment, and it has to defend itself. It has no choice. They have nowhere to go. 100,000 citizens in northern Israel have evacuated their homes, and Israel has to reestablish the deterrence to make these 100,000 citizens of the north feel comfortable enough to go back to their homes. If Israel can't do that, that is the beginning of the end for Israel, but it's not going to be the beginning of the end, because Israel will reestablish the deterrence.
Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
America's beverage companies are investing in America. We're American companies, making American products with American workers in America's hometowns. We're local bottlers and manufacturers, operating in all 50 states, employing more than 275,000 Americans in good-paying jobs, delivering for the nation, because we believe in the promise of America and the people who make it great. Learn more at wedeliverforamerica.org. Paid for by the American Beverage Association.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Are you surprised at the contrast of how Israel is taking the fight, going into places like Damascus to take out key Iranian generals, and yet our American president, President Biden, hasn't even enforced sanctions? I mean, what a contrast.
Yeah, Israel has no choice because these generals, they're not just having dainties for lunch, and that's why they're lunching in Damascus. They're establishing a war front, a new war front against Israel. They're hoping they can, in other words, Iran and Syria and these terrorists are hoping that they can start building and launching very precise munition missiles that can strike specific targets, not the kind of very cheap kind of missiles that are launched that are sometimes launched, which are just launched toward Israel, and the terrorists keep their fingers crossed that it'll hit somebody, kill some civilians. They're hoping. Usually, it either lands in an open field or it's shot down by the Israel missile defense system. But now they're trying to bring in much more precise guided missiles. Israel is taking out the deliveries as they come in. In other words, as Iran is delivering these precision munitions and missiles to Syria, Israel's trying to work with intelligence on the ground and trying to destroy them as fast as they're coming in. But of course, it doesn't really work because some get in, and that's why Hezbollah has 100,000 rockets, aimed at Israel, and why a full-out war between Israel and Hezbollah is it's going to cause devastation in Israel because Hezbollah, they're just madmen. Do you know who they're exactly like? They're exactly like Putin and the Russians launching these missiles into Ukraine. That's exactly what it's like. And you know who's supplying Russia with those missiles? Iran. Iran is in the business. See, Iran's in the terror business. Iran supplies Russia with missiles that Russia shoots into Ukrainian apartment buildings, and Iran supplies Hamas and Hezbollah with missiles to shoot into Israeli apartment buildings because they're all terrorists. I mean, that's what you do. People who shoot missiles into apartment buildings are terrorists, and that's what we're up against. And Rita, if it's not taken care of in the Middle East, it's coming to a theater near you. So we really need to support Israel all out in its war on terror.
How much do you believe even some of these bad actors have already crossed our southern border with a wide open southern border?
Yeah, well, it's well known that Iran is sending its proxies, including Hezbollah and Hamas and others. We don't even know, but into Venezuela. And from Venezuela, the U.S. border obviously is porous. I mean, we're not making news here. Everybody knows that. So the fact that Hezbollah is a very high-level organization and quite well established in Venezuela, for example, their road from Venezuela into the U.S. is just, getting by our southern border, which is quite easy. So we don't know, and we in the United States have no idea of the organization or infiltration of Hezbollah already into our own country. And, to the extent Iran and Hezbollah and Hamas win in the Middle East, they're going to know that here's the next stop. So it's really, for us, we're fighting, and we'd be supporting Israel to help ourselves, but it's also to help the cause of right.
Are you surprised at the anti-Semitism in this country, even in America? It's shocking, I think, to see how many have been protesting against Israel on college campuses.
Yeah, well, that's the result of brainwashing. If you lie to people enough, they kind of, they just believe the wrong thing. And it's very sad that, like universities that are supposed to be the place of enlightenment and standing up for truth against falsehood and evil, that those are specifically the places where falsehood and evil, find a happy home. And nowhere more happy is that evil than in these riots and protests against Israel, celebrating Hamas, celebrating rape and torture, celebrating all that's worst in humanity. It's so sad. It really is. But there's going to be, I continue to be confident that, people will understand the truth, hopefully sooner rather than later, and the vicious double standard that's applied to Israel will vanish.
And you've also written, by the way, Rabbi, a powerful new book. By the way, it hit #1 in new releases I saw in Sales and Management. And it talks about the principles of Maimonides, which, of course, is one of the leading sort of spiritual experts, I think, in the world. One of the greatest spiritualists, I think, of all time, I think many people would attest to. Tell us about the rules to live by.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, Maimonides was an incredible person. As you know, not only was he the top spiritualist and philosopher of his day, but he was also the top doctor and man of science of his era. So his feet were planted firmly in both worlds. He believed that by following certain pretty easy to follow rules in each of the main areas of life, for example, in your character, in your career, for your health, in your family life, your spiritual life, and other main areas of your life, by focusing on each of these areas and following some fairly simple rules, you can achieve tremendous success in all of the areas, because he knew that, in order to be happy overall in your life, if someone is just a financial success but has a poor family life and poor spiritual life, Maimonides knew that he would not be happy. So Maimonides really gave us these basic ideas, these rules to live by. And Rita, since I discovered these as a teenager, I've been following them all myself, and I must say I was so profoundly influenced by all of them that it really these rules are transformational, and really anyone can follow them. And I tried to, I divided the book Rules to Live By into 7 sections, each one dealing with the main area of life. And each section has about 20 chapters. In each chapter is only a couple of pages focusing on one main idea of Maimonides. And, it's the kind of book, people have told me that the solutions are so terrific and the practical and the common sense wisdom is so amazing. They kind of like whatever problem they have, they just turn to the right section.
Yeah, it's like a roadmap. One of the things you talk about, Rabbi Katz, is charity. I love that because his philosophy, Maimonides' philosophy, is that that's a key element to someone's financial success, that mindset leads to wealth.
Yeah.
Talk about that. I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah, isn't that it's beautiful, and it's also so fascinating because obviously, it's so important to pick a value or a cause or an idea larger than yourself that you truly believe in and that animates you and makes your every day of your life go beyond the everyday, and that's charity work. And you don't need to be rich to do that. To give of your time and energy a little bit every day to something, or as much time and energy as you have to spare, that's a wonderful thing. You don't need to be wealthy to do that. But Maimonides shows how, and it's really so clear, how by doing that kind of work, you actually, people think that, great wealth leads to philanthropy and charity. Maimonides shows it's just the opposite. In most cases, it's a charitable mindset that leads to wealth and affluence for many reasons, because first of all, when you give of your time and energy, you develop an emotional detachment from money. And that's like the first requirement for attaining any kind of wealth is you have to make excellent financial decisions. And you can only do that when you're emotionally detached from your money, which charitable work does. It's like a surgeon. No matter how great a surgeon he or she is, they'll never operate on their own kids. But it also, by being involved in some kind of worthwhile charitable project, like let's say in your community you see an underserved need and you work to fill that, you're going to become like a magnet in your community. So many people are going to want to kind of join the bandwagon and pitch in. People want to get involved in worthwhile work that helps people and serves needs. You're going to make a network of social contacts through this project of yours. Probably some of the most wealthy and affluent people in the area are going to want to in helping others in this way. And the kind of network that you develop in that way is just, you probably never would have even imagined that you can develop a network of friends because, friends who bond through charitable projects like that become terrific friends, and all kinds of social and financial and career opportunities, that you can avail yourself of, with those friendships, and a million other things also. I mean, just to mention one other thing, Rita, for young people who get involved in these kind of local charitable projects, maybe they need to raise a little money and then put it to work efficiently to serve the underserved people. Can you imagine those budgetary skills and operational skills and managerial skills and project development skills that you gain by doing such charity work? I mean, those are exactly the skills that are desired by every firm in the country, by every employer. So it's such a wonderful win-win-win-win. And as usual, by helping other people, just the way God created the world, you wind up helping yourself as much as anybody else, even though that was not the reason you did it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you say in finances, be strict with yourself, generous with others.
When it comes to Father's Day, dads want steak. And the experts at Omaha Steaks are making it easy for you to deliver uncompromising quality with gifts that are sure to make his day. Plus, get an extra $35 off with code THANKSDAD when you shop at omahasteaks.com today. But don't wait. Father's Day is June 15th. Shop now at omahasteaks.com and get an extra $35 off with code THANKSDAD. Minimum purchase may apply. See site for details.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Before I let you go, Rabbi Katz, given everything that's been happening in the world, as we talked about, just what a difficult time it is and the stakes so high and just so much conflict, how important is it to be centered and to have these values, maybe now more than ever?
Absolutely. Maimonides had another expression, lose with truth and right rather than gain with falsehood and wrong. So it just shows you really want to stick with what's right and the truth, even though, it may make someone popular if he's an anti-Semite and he ignorantly rails against Israel and defending itself. I mean, just looking at the events of October 7th, they were so barbaric. Israel was invaded. Daughters were raped. I mean, people were slaughtered and butchered, burnt alive en masse. And it's just more to come. The enemies are just saying, this is just the beginning. We're coming from the south. We're coming from the north. Israel's evacuated the north. It's coming from the West Bank. It's coming from Yemen. I mean, Israel, they have nowhere to go. They have to defeat the enemy and to bring a double standard on Israel when the same double standard would never be brought against any other country in the world. It's so hypocritical. And people ask, how could the Holocaust have happened? How could it have happened in the 1920s and 1930s leading up to that disaster? It was because of big lies like these and fighting and punishing double standards. So we hope that through education and through right thinking and through following rules laid down by the wisest people of all time, like Maimonides, that if people focus on the truth, they'll come to the right conclusion in the end.
Well, thank you for separating fact from fiction. And I think especially, like you said, having good grounding and good philosophies and good guidance is so key. The book, again, everybody, is called Rules to Live By, Maimonides' Guide to a Wonderful Life, written by Rabbi Jeffrey Katz. Everybody be sure to subscribe and also to share to this really powerful and insightful podcast. And Rabbi Jeffrey Katz, so great to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Rita. It was a great pleasure.
And everybody, I'll be back soon with another great edition of Protecting America. And of course, you can catch me every weeknight, 10 p.m. to midnight on the legendary WABC Radio. This is Rita Cosby, and thanks for all you do to protect America.